Hi, thanks for clicking on this video. Today we're going to be talking about faith and fanaticism, or the radicalization of faith in Star Wars. Just a little background information on myself. I am a teacher, and I teach various social studies classes, including psychology. And one of the things that we talk about in psychology and another class that I teach, sociology, is about cults and cult mentality. So today we're going to discuss how Star Wars demonstrates the radicalization process of somebody within their faith. And to start off, we're going to take a look at Path of Deceit by Tessa Gratton and Justina Ireland. And I think this is a really nice explanation and deep dive into radicalization and cults in the area of Star Wars, although it applies to a bunch of different areas as well, which I may or may not get to. But in Path of Deceit, we start off with one of our central characters being Marta Rowe. And Marta Rowe is a perfect example of a person who could fall into the trap of a cult. She was abandoned in her youth. She was looking for community. She found it. She found strength in her community. She embraced the faith of the community and was wholeheartedly invested in the idea that if she did exactly what was decreed by the doctrine of the Path of the Open Hand, that she would advance within the culture and she would find some status. Now, another thing that really stands out with Marta Rowe is the fact that when she begins the journey, she is a benevolent kind of an individual. And she is looking to help others, thinks that the path that she is on is the correct one. She reaches out to other people within the community, new members coming into the community. They are trying to snatch these people up because they want them to grow their numbers for the Path of the Open Hand. Now, Marta doesn't see that. Marta sees that she's spreading her faith, but with the manipulations of a very charismatic leader, in this case, the mother, it's all about power and growing influence. In the early part of the book, Path of Deceit, they talk about how there are refugees coming from the war between Irem and Orono, and those people are displaced. Everything that they thought that they had secure in their lives has been destroyed. They are starting out in a new location, and this makes them an easy mark for the cult of the open hand to try to reach out to them and make them feel like they belong. Now, there are organizations in the world, in the real world and in Star Wars, that look at these as opportunities to build their faith in communities, and they do it for benevolent reasons. There's no ulterior motives. It's just that they want to strengthen their communities, and that is fantastic. Where we start to see an issue arise is where there's this total divorce from any outside influence or outside opinion. And we see that with the Path of the Open Hand because members don't live in the community. They are in their own compound. So they're not really interacting with the people around them. They have established an us versus them mentality, even though Marta doesn't really see it that way at first because she's, again, a good-hearted and benevolent character. But where we start to see the slip take place is that in the cult of the open hand, isolate the individuals from the rest of the community, the us versus them mentality, the charismatic leader that is influencing and feeding on the egos of the individuals that are involved. A good example of this is how the mother doesn't really see much in Marta Rowe. She doesn't see in her a future soldier. She doesn't see in her a future leader. She sees in her as a caregiver, as somebody to shepherd the young into roles that will be more beneficial for the mother down the road. And she feeds on Marta Rowe's ego by talking about how wonderful she is with the littles, how much she's contributing to the community with the littles, and that's the best place for her, even though Marta wants to go out and spread the word of the open hand around the galaxy. We see things kind of come to a head in the Path of Deceit when Marta runs headfirst into an individual that completely counters her viewpoint on the philosophy of the Path of the Open Hand. And this is the Jedi Padawan Kevmo Zink. And Kevmo, one of the things that's really interesting about him, and I think that if he had, spoiler alert, I think if Kevmo had survived, that he would have been able to, through understanding and dialogue, bring Marta Ro out from the Path of the Open Hand and show her a broader perspective on what goes on in the larger galaxy. But Marta is also influenced very heavily by the Echo Chamber. She does not know anybody else's experience with the Force. Like, she's super excited when she finds out that Kevmo has experience with the Force. Like, she thinks it's going to be along the same lines as what she has. And when it is not, when she's confronted with this, she reacts with anger and scorn and fear. A lot of fear is involved in this. And, she kind of initially runs away, but she is interested in what Kevmo's got to say. Like, she's attracted to him, which could be an anchor for her to get pulled out of the community. What's really fascinating is, with Marta Ro, we see her go from this benevolent individual into a fanatic as the series of young adult novels progresses in the second phase of the High Republic series. She loses something, and that loss pushes her further into the arms of the Path of the Open Hand, the cult. And again, she starts to find herself being pulled deeper into things because now the mother recognizes that Marta's got some influence and power, and she's going to take those things that would have been wonderful and very beneficial to the communities of Dalna and across the galaxy, and she's going to twist and manipulate those things into something that is negative. By the time we get to the Path of Vengeance, Marta has seen a complete paradigm shift in the way that she views the galaxy, in the way that she views the Path, in the way that she views the Jedi. At first, she's neutral to resistant to the Jedi philosophy. By the time we get to the end of the two-book arc in Path of Vengeance, she is completely radicalized and fanatically opposed to the Jedi. What really makes this difficult is the fact that she believes in the righteousness of her cause. And she gets pulled deeper and deeper into this organization, this cult, for lack of a better term. She gets pulled deeper and deeper into it because it becomes all she knows. It's the total source. It's the only source of validation for her. It's the only source of identity for her. And she just has to either embrace it, or in her mind, she would cease to exist and have significance and purpose in life. And we see that happen in the real world as well. Anyway, that kind of concludes my look at cults in Path of Deceit and Path of Vengeance from Phase 2 of the High Republic. Let me know what you think in the comments section. I find this topic extremely interesting, and I would love to be able to start a dialogue with anybody that would be interested in discussing this further. Thanks for watching.